Take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by creating this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood. From now on to enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by creating this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood. From now on to enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by creating this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Lama chwe long de kharsong shi lamna masin chwe tuje zentak sangya lam on tongma yangta ja tongma tabishin ro ji tong ne ko ne be ji kwa ge ta lama men su 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 kwa ge de in the text Guru Puja text there's a reference to the topic that we are studying in this text, transference of consciousness. In the Lama Guru Puja text, it says, it basically talks about transference of consciousness, the practice done by oneself, at the time of dying, by relying upon five powers, the five powers that at this point we are talking in this text. And this kind of transference of consciousness can happen with the proper requirements, such as from a patient or dying person's side. He or she should be a good practitioner with pure faith, with good karmic, kind of connection. And then from teacher side, teachers or spiritual teachers needs to be somebody who is standard, having a valid realization. So then at the time of death and dying, these patients can be really benefited from this kind of transference of consciousness. Otherwise, without fulfilling requirements from both sides, this transference of consciousness could become something destructive and false. And also timing, has to be done when the grosser level of dissolutions of process is done, yet subtle consciousness is yet to kind of manifest it. So it has to be done at a very proper or right timing.
Santa Barbara, Hormushi, Karunamua, Santa Barbara University. This Tana, Marantuka, Chuluchu, Shiki, Tawadi, who mean Manashi got Mazo, Tonda Tusa, she was some Taran to you, Video Sajana, only Taran, Eugene or Sajana, same many pay. Sim city, Tamu, Sim, Saja Tamudita, Detuwa, Guru, the Minga Manamana. The Inza, two such a 2 years on, but with Tawafi, Uchini Gune, Tamche Rogi, Siane, Detuwa. But then the Garuji Kalotis, young Nyanda, Fenichi, Mone, Chulu Chibashidela, Chip Mone around the time, Raji, Tepakaji, then the ladies. Indicala, one is some Chame Kaba, also Shuji Negacha, Indicala, Yongon Mujan, Vision or some the Chulu Chigiti. She was in a Sundus, a Pekashu on some
Churushila, Chujushila. At the time of dying, subtle consciousness can be, sort of becomes manifested. There is a timing where subtle consciousness becomes manifested at the time of dying, and if a practitioner can identify that subtle consciousness, there is a way to attain liberation. And for this, His Holiness kind of gave about this related to this teachings at Santa Barbara. His Holiness talks about 4 Tibetan Buddhist sects or traditions, although we see kind of appears to be different, but in reality, when it comes down to the very fundamental kind of concept, everything comes down to basic same thing in terms of subjective kind of understanding, the subtle consciousness of the mind, also called clear light of the clear light of the clear light of the basis, the basis or foundational mind. And from objective side, it's the nature of emptiness. So everything what we kind of interpret, or the concept in 4 different traditions, comes down to one sort of point, same ground. So for that purpose, we hear expressions such as all philosophies or all concepts having kind of same taste.
지달라가라니 배 전주기 쌤 살때인지는 뭐야빠요. 뒤인지가라. 나 맞아 치워요. 네데. 이 솔직히 예. 가서래. 가셔지 투야 요말 치에 네데. 나랑 딴지 뭐네. 딱 요거만 삼비고. 대마도 아전이 미지 시작 두전이 미지 시작 다음 미지에는 백개면서 드린 치샷해야 와서 연구할 때 대랑을 잡습니다. 대 랑 순제로 순제 강가로는 이 랑을 잡습니다. 단나무 상계 취기 바지 치워대 즉 되는데 그 땅원에 최남다 증인지리 치워하는데 리 대신 화를 들어라 아니 치워대 중에서 뭐람 장에 연구 내가 먹고 싶다be 오늘 최 내가 책임지나 아니 나면 어디 순균나 최라지 치워라지 아니 진 미세 타마면 이게 순도 최세디 가고요 치워요라 치워요에는 최 내가 책임지 아니 치워요는 아주 되고 어떻게 어떻게 개와의 규제되나 아니 리긴도 남친 좀배 버스 아니 저기 우리 처음에서 한 보기 아니 다다 가서
라렌소디
전주세베니 납자 순주 가서
라렌소디마
라렌소디면은 순도 딱 남친 좀배 버스가 정말 제배 나신지 마도 대배 집이 동할 때서 너무 거라요 말고 댕겨래 바트 동할 미용하기 댕겨 인자 가베고니 치고야 어떻게 수직 끝이 치고 이거 지구지 나랑서 단단히 저리 제거하되 뺏게 치고 아주 치와요 하는 내대 남지 기왕 남지를 참내 봤을 때 그때요 하면 과시로 가라 마스네 아니 디 엔베 남림 sabje kanan 되는 거야. 아니 이다 치킨 망 순킨 눈 순킨 때야 치킨도 들어와 숨은 데가 잡고니 되게 양양도 상당과 그 배지나 자샤야 말이 sabje 텔레톤에 즉 산다나 셈는 얘기하지. 셈나면 즉 여기 이제 같이 미다 비춰 볼 때당 이게 또 최초에 튕겨낸 계속 투하고 든지시 투하지고는 미답식을 꽂혀요. 그마도 네 이제 지나는 것을 잡아이나 이양 많이 가요. 어떻게 니들가 아주 미답 치와 참을래야 네발았다 저리 제거해다. 근데 포함게 산 결로 가가지는 세부 쓰는 거라 이게 자소지만 불안되나 추적은 이미로 로기 있어요.
Practitioners who has been practicing entire life, following listening and then contemplation and meditation, and then at the end of life, when they are in the process of dying, there is a way that they can identify and recognize subtle mind, and then through kind of five powers, they can receive or have a practice of transference of consciousness. That means attaining a liberation at that during that timing, and they can attain liberation or rebirth in the pure land or higher realm or Buddha field. And but in order to have that kind of happen, what is needed is, as we see in the five powers, when we are alive, healthy, we need to be making ourselves familiar with the practice itself, the practice of altruism, and otherwise, without having any kind of understanding, knowledge, familiarity with the practice of altruism, at the time of dying, when you are expecting to have transference of consciousness or attaining a liberation, that is almost kind of impossible. So therefore, the point here is that when we are alive, healthy, access to teachings and everything, it is we must kind of engage in the preparation of having such kind of having such kind of ability, and using that really occasion of death and dying process as something that can lead us to liberation. And it is very decisive fact that death and dying is definite to come. We all have to experience in future, and nothing can make that not happen. And so therefore it is definite, it's certain that we are going to encounter death and dying. And when we encounter that process, for practitioners, it is much more kind of better if one can use that into something, path to attain a liberation or rebirth in the Buddha field. So we do see people, other people are kind of dying, getting ill, but the problem here is that when we see other people dying, and we always point fingers at others, and then we know that they're dying. But however, the problem is we don't kind of redirect sort of that understanding to oneself, that we are basically going to die just like other individuals that we are seeing, going through death and dying. And so for that kind of purpose, we see in a text like Stages of Path, liberation, Lamrim text, understanding of how our life is so uncertain, and yet death and dying is so certain. And although there are many there are much more factors and conditions that can support our death and dying, and there are not many things that can help us to sustain life, or and those positive facilities, support that is supposed to be prolonging our life, sometimes easily can become cause of taking our life. So all of these were really kind of detailed in kind of outlines and subtopics we find detailed in Lamrim text, and the importance of all of those understanding, and this also the understanding of impermanence, the teachings on impermanence, is that with understanding of impermanence, uncertainty of our life, death and dying, we need to able to use all of those into kind of implementing in our practice. Otherwise, it could become that when you learn about reality of our own life, death and dying, uncertainties of timing of death, impermanence, it might appears to be kind of information which is sort of scaring ourselves, so therefore in Lamrim Stages of Path text, we find practitioners, best practitioners, they are always happy, to leave this world, basically to die. They are fully prepared. And medium level practitioners, they at least don't have a uncomfortable feeling, and then worse practitioners, they don't have a sense of fear, so and in the text like Thome Sangpo in his 37 practices of bodhisattvas, 37 point, he talks about true practitioners view this body as a guest house for the guest of consciousness. So, the guest will, leave this guest house and then just go ahead and travel around without any feeling of anxiety, sadness, or suffering. And that can happen with the practitioners. With their practice, they are confident, and they can very kind of comfortably leave this body and sort of go on to future rebirth. And here it is talking about the transference of consciousness, but Krishna said it is a complicated kind of topic, and he's just going to, without going much into it, he's just going to read the text.
투담 주샤 세야데 어떻게 투과 salta, ogni tabellone salta, e in pe ci va a mondo che Gio sono Gio saltega nyamr janti di gala su ngone pambon on yago yumen so ci dawa bede ni ci ko tudan ko shya manta mi manga tu ju chonga ten ju pe ma bu do da ra ke la da la yang ni hu ka yu di samba ji jin shan ni manga 아니 메디센이 계시 투당 주야다. 뭐다 내가 가가 집가 집장 지어서 뭔지 대가를 주고 하는 거. 다시 나 주세요. 뭐 어떻게 니들아? 어떻게 뭐 알아? 전주 기승기 나라 땅을 파인 쳐 버려. 일찍 용수 zuwa tang jiang ma chi wa tam che yermar jingras sama tabe gone so su jang ta is a chiga la gala ma to le tang ko ba ma da ma ja bo te di na en chiwa yo de gala ma so kar jana a jing ye ye de den jing ye ye de ra chin jing ye ye de gala so so ye ne gi zang jing gi di yu ye ne ge 당분이야마 때 많이 굴제네 니굴 야 본처럼 쳐야 니굴제네 니굴지 아니 지 무아제네 지 짐바다 망간로네 짐바다네서 차야 매버지 지금 어디 숨어 유제 요즘 중앙 지치바탄데 야말 진다 삼바타다니 야 본처럼 쳐봐 망간로네 진동제야 어떻게 나서 보는 아직 차산 내사기 때문에서 그래. 있었고. 저승에디. 지랑 차배 심내봐 갈치. 여론 치가 농세가 차배 왕키 가사 집이 미네 타 리네가 숨던 지리 잡도 멤버와 소기 중에 한망 스타트니디 뭐 아게 치달라가라 차선 중나 네 니가 전부 요구하게 이제 강보 제가 있나다 넘발렘바 있나다 시간을 가면 야보 잡는 마주 있나 뭐 나랑 수도 루야다 아니 잠들 근데 데리고 시외센데 시오지 내가 아침 붙여야 돼 뭐다 시와 데리고라 아마도 아니 아주 샤초래 있나 또 그게 주기 년은 제인지 가방으로네 했나 이지 주왕도 좀 에티들 아니 뭔데 마샤지 아니 여기 고당세 여러 집고 가서 얘네들 통사들을 짜지 간지 되게 지 그래서 뭔지 그래야 사실 지 도시 진짜야 샤비도 와 얘네 민들 차고 이거라 아니 배 아빠 차야 돼 이 강조만 좀 균이 지겨 어떻게 내지 뭐 어떻게 자신이야 무이나 살면서 소수 부부도 되는 무이나 냄새 자신 끼들 와 민지 감을 소수 부부라 자와 이래로 제와데 제와 다 녀명기 제와치다 말에 자신의 되게 제와 이게 냄새 되게 차들 와 어떤 무시네 어떤 대수 근지기 말에서 순과 아니 가지 자진 매야지 소소네 로즈월 네비고 근데 치치왕은 뒤는가 미치 campo 네 최긴 라트 최를 냐면 집 그랬던데 치와 용도가 딱딱 빨리 예 소리 부탁이나 이게 그렇게 두고는 보셔야겠나 보셔야 야 내놓는 짐바탕으로는 짐바탕 내 대사야 추기는 추 이지는 또 이제 자진 게 자진 깨나 아니 배 가래 정도 느끼나 아니 배 시국인데 소소 깨네 양만 동안 손도 놓냐다 아니 용과 와다디 지겨 말을 순거 하마로 개벌도 랑글린다 진진 돌아치디 어다 지 하나 소수 위대야 라페 진짜 얘네로 또 어디 오늘 내지 말아서 Gucci Jericho. Jericho, Monichana, Jinjuta, and the Mongolian and Lunin Sunda. Jericho is equal and then door. What I think it is. Hey, Jinju's a value of the time. And the time is a much of passion to go out there. How jolly.
Applying the five powers at the time of death. In relating these instructions on the five powers to the advice concerning what to do at the time of death, the text says, the five powers themselves are the great vehicles precept on the transference of consciousness. Cultivate these paths of practice. So going through five powers and how one can apply at the time of death and dying. The first one, the power of the white seed. The power of the white seed, as we saw before, white seed refers only to the mind of altruism itself, altruistic mind. Just go ahead. The power of the white seed. We should purify the misdeeds which will cause us suffering in the future by application of the four powers. At the time of death, be feel thinking, quote, "It's all right for me to die, for me die," unquote. The beginning with the white seed of the altruistic mind itself, in the text by one of the great master, Kunu Lama Rinpoche, in talking about altruistic mind, he has this expression that, Kunu Lama Rinpoche, and even at the time of happiness, or even at the time of suffering, one must meditate on altruistic mind or awakening mind. And so meditation on altruism or awakening mind is beneficial at both time, happiness as well as suffering. During the time of suffering, when one's mind is too kind of saddened or depressed, altruistic mind can really, reflecting on altruism can really make mind stronger, more active, in a very positive way. It gives a strength to mind. Likewise, during the time of happiness, when mind is too much kind of hyperactive, thinking on altruism can bring a mind to the right level, and therefore not kind of falling into extremes of negative behavior or activity. So having that kind of strong, powerful mind, able to remember at the time of dying, could be extremely beneficial in terms of way to take a rebirth. So, excuse me. As we mentioned, in yesterday's teaching, practitioners, who attain kind of a right sort of level, able to, at the time of dying, when they're able to kind of hold on to subtle mind, those practices comes from the practice of the altruistic mind. And the example Geshe was saying, as we mentioned, the example of Geshe Sopa from Deer Park Center Medicine. He stayed on clear light meditation after passing away, and there was another practitioner yesterday that happened in Ladakh, Dikunka Ju monk. And these can be happen when during the time of dying, when one has a good practice during a lifetime. And so here the point is kind of understanding of critical timing at that of dying. It could happen, which will come later, but at the time of death, to be fearless and free from sorrow, thinking it's all right for me, die. Facing death with, as mentioned here, without any sense of fear, without any sense of sorrow, could happen with this power of altruistic mind. And then kind of, as mentioned here, it's all right for me, die, comforting yourself and actually dying with very, full of, confidence, conviction. It is extremely important not to hold on to anything that will be a source of attachment, but to offer all your possessions to the higher and lower fields of merit. This kind of tells, this we nowadays we see in Buddhist tradition custom when people die. This kind of practice. The dying person, in order not to have a kind of attachment after dying, a dying person will make sure that there is nothing left for his mind to get attached to. So, practice such as making an offering to higher fields of merits, to higher fields of merits, monasteries, lamas, and then giving a generosity to lower fields of merits, those who are needed, poverty, and if you have a wealth or property, kind of making sure that everything is divided well among your remaining family members or the children. So dying, at the time when you die, there is nothing that makes your mind disturbed or attached to, dying very comfortably. And at the time of dying, again in this, the tradition, Buddhist tradition, when person is dying, people around dying person usually try not to kind of express strong emotions of sadness or crying. Instead, they try to create a very relaxing, good environment, atmosphere, and if can try to remind, sort of invoke the positive mind of the dying person by showing or hanging up the images of lamas, Dalai Lamas, and Buddhas, so that that dying person's subtle consciousness can remind those images. And those are very much part of the tradition for and those traditions obviously kind of we see comes from this kind of textile, and not touching and not disturbing dying person at his or her final stage. So if because the attachment to what attachment to things that you can carry, or that it cause because of the attachment or disturbing emotions cause transition much more difficult, and in fact can throw into a lower rebirth. And we see in the text of Liberation Through Hearing, or Tibetan Book of Death and Dying, how different negative emotions at the time of dying can lead to different negative rebirth. So here is one example mentioned in this text here. There are many examples of incidents such as that concerning the bhikshu, the ordained monks and nuns, whose body burned thrice simultaneously due to his attachment to his alms bowl at the time of death. We should especially eliminate attachment to our bodies at the time of death. Of course, not having attachment to your possessions, but even, one must think is not having attachment to this very body that is with us since time we take, birth. And again here, this not attaching to this body, now kind of telling yourself, as mentioned before, it's all right for me to die, leave this body behind. Understanding of the text that we, the understanding of, the reason why it is not to have attachment. We need to understand the negative kind of aspect of this body, this aggregate that we have, and in the Shantideva's text, to Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. In the Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, in the chapter on patience, Shantideva talks about, in practice of patience, he uses the understanding of nature of your own body as as a basis, a foundation of not to have anger or hatred towards others, because the very nature of our body is such that it is kind of vulnerable, it is fragile, and because of possessing this kind of body, you receive harm and hurting and pain from others. So if you don't have this kind of body, which is so receptive, so kind of vulnerable, you won't suffer at all. So and because of having that kind of body, it makes yourself vulnerable to suffering, pain, illness, and it also creates others to create negative activities. And this is one kind of example of how our body, although we consider it as a precious sacred, but could serve all of this kind of suffering for ourselves. And so the point here is that the understanding or reminding oneself of the understanding, with the understanding of the reality or nature of this body, so that you are comfortable to leave this body behind without any attachment, and you have no choice but you have to leave this body behind. And DJ 갑자기 다 와는데 딜로 차이내면 뒤쪽에 개발도란 게 류라 지진 돌아 차대 디달로서 요몬 탐제게 자와 ngam 다도 좀 버디리 주 네
야가 요몬 탐제게 자와 다도 좀 리주 강다 강이 류라 내진 때라 차시 세티스타 지 진짜 뭔데 그리고 디갈라다 아니 세네세바 인사 리도 강데 키미키 소테에서 되게 싫어 알지 셀렌 예파세파다 차바 예파세파다 누가 렘바니기 아니 지금 개와 치마 삼주라 왔다 뒤지고 대티 수고 세티 제그서 다 기어 남 던딩이 치미고 왔죠 세명아 소나마이마 네 투모 문두께가 뒤지고 질코가 타네 개발도 완전 동안 미스발 자리 실대 오다 되게 네 이제 배전줄에 가류 강을 잡아이 진이 출라 지키고 지파티의 린이 수진까지 네 디미지 류강 대당 공소네 소위 초가 젠데베 자상 야상 따서 수업을지지 랑구지 강아지 개당 rum도지 하당 마양 세지지 원조 숨기 꼴고나 남매반이 세 이러나 개버수지 린이라 대신 순당 최지기 수진들란 가진 따와르면서 니미제 와다 제수 바탈 치마 펜체 디서도 내다 명 기위 루이 남바 라와미제 세미 라진미 비추고 나와 잡아자고 세와도 쓰네 아니 상상고 스타모리 인디가라 직 마저 치갈라갈라 직 상모다이데 루이디 니미 통고네 아니 치마 펜체기 답에 직 겐랭 그 공부 유지 다음 와지 보다 삼도 스타네 아니 장주기 셈 살다 보고 보다 대수 거 아니요 도신 엠파타 네 장주기 셈 살다 도시 보고 인사 좀 보다 지인들가 이딱 당고 가서 sabingi topsina는 장주기 셈 보다 살다 상대 보다 중과
We should especially eliminate attachment to our bodies at the time of death. This is because the body has been the basis of the quote-unquote I, or misconception of self, the root of all disturbing emotions, wherever we have been born in all the 6 realms of existence. And being attached to the body, we have indulged in the 10 unwholesome deeds, the 5 boundless actions, and other deleterious behavior in order to obtain food, clothing, and other possessions to meet our own selfish ends. Consequently, we are submerged in the unending suffering of cyclic existence in general and unbearable pains of inferior rebirths in particular. So this is kind of further clarify or reason or to validate this claim that we should eliminate attachment to our bodies. Here the quote from Shantideva's text, A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. Whoever is attached to this body is frightened by even small things. Who would not despise as his enemy a body which gives rise to such fear? Wishing to find a means to relieve this body's hunger, thirst, and sickness, you kill birds, fish, and deer, and loiter by the roadside to rob others. If for the sake of profit and comfort, you would even kill your father and mother, and misappropriate offerings to the 3 jewels, you will burn in the most severe hell. What wise man would desire, protect, and coddle this body? Who would not scorn it and regard it as an enemy? So we should make a strong determination not adopt such an inferior body, the product of actions and disturbing emotions, in the future, but to let the reality of the mind, its lack of inherent existence, rest in the perfect body of truth. So as you see here, mention of the basically the negative aspects of the aspect of the body and what body could produce. Just having this body, what can be all kinds of suffering and problems that can create. So with that kind of understanding, adopting, as mentioned here, strong determination to attain a better aggregator body, not like the one that we have to attain and with all those kind of negative features. So basically, the point here is kind of to eliminate attachment to body. We need to understand body, kind of causing us or serving as a basis of all kinds of suffering and problems to oneself and others as well.
rangi kana matuba tobji jamwa sedeta lama tobji de kane se samtang ko tobji bone ta janjuri sem salte tobji bone ta sepoya de kashi ko tobji ta di gala ta hembe topta ani sunji de topta molam gi topta ani kompeto se ya ta samama ta tanda 추억만 느끼는 데다가 타고대 아버지가 있어 삼당 도와 아니 윤도 삼당 되달라 펜베서 윤을 당고 도와 대처가 진지 되는 도와 어다 디지털 펜베서 없으니까 니빠 펜베서 없니 뭐라서 펜바 윤도 벌숨 당고 스파 지 윤도 벌숨 쓰니까 수수 치아 네바 중나 미니비 냥데 토야 아니베 엠바 딘마주나 타바토야 딘마주나 아니 라가미 고방규니 미니비 냥데 토야 지마데 나다 미고 자주 선사데 누구 발송되네 20만 원 받에 견딘 세번이다 발송돼야 나도 미도 어다 두신 해봐 당에다 두스 당고 있어 숨바 숨진 도미 녀문이 잼바르기 뒤 남동 대다왕도 민주이 고고하고 세워다지 아니 뭔데 교리한다 녀몽어라 다 동배 잼배보는 녀몽어라 견도다 녀몽 님이 이양이야보다 우스진 아니 녀몽왕도 뛴 남야만 말로와 시지에는 거기 참을 쪽 연디가 셀라세건이 참지르마고 자주 생겨오는 배 햄바타네 야 시도 주고 와 이거 이수가
등에 대당이 치마 편집의 동의 규제랑 되게 싫어 권해 놓음be.
어때 지만 편집 유치한 또 직원이 장애를 따오디 이지들에서 내가 공부하고 사람이 또 짱짱데 순고에서 와또 라마 지데 햄데 또
때 단다 된 계실라 무튼데 등에를 당고 깔고 사는 거 톱니는 치마 어디 깔고 사는 거 톱니 디젤 다가랑 식도 다가나래도 식다다 되면은 가르 배적 하가이나 단다 치마 편집의 동의 규제랑 게 하나마도 남 톱시고는 장대라 있어 대단계 당보대도 고대 가보 사는 거 톱니 아니 치마 편집의 동의 규제랑 게 하나마도 남 톱시고는 장대라 말게시라 단다 로디 좀 당기 로 사교도 로고로 거네 단다 거네 돼요 양 배적
라마데 되기 어디 라베야 라마 톱 지우도 어디 햄베 톱 되지 아니 스윙진베 톱 되지 누몽베 톱 되지 아니 콘베 톱 되지 되지 콘 그성아만 디치디가 라마서 햄베 톱 땅보는 거래지 달렌 치와 참은 뭔지 기르는 달라 햄베 톱 아니 배 땅보 마시 땅보 갈고 서면 기톱 아니 햄베 톱에 두시 톱 지디 두시 거래지 이 개버지 와지 자위 동마시에 연두가라 햄데 톱에 땅보는 거야. 근데 시원 언제 그런 데가라 아니 갈고 서면 기톱에 땅보는 거야.
Kishore was reading that part again that we read before at the beginning of the section. We should purify the misdeed which will cause suffering in the future by application of the 4 powers. So the remaining 4 powers, there are 5 powers in total, but remaining 4 powers. In terms of sequences, during the practice of transference of consciousness or at the time of dying, the first one that comes in the list or in the practice is the as you see, the power of white seed, and generally, that is not the sequence. If you look earlier part, when we look at the 5 powers, the first one is power of intention. So there's a differences in terms of which one comes first, depending on the the practice. I guess at the time of death and dying, the first one comes first is power of white seed, not intention. No, it is. I think it's the mother model. So, second, the power of intention. On page 88, continuing with the reading. The power of intention. As explained above, we should have 3 types of intention relating to the long, medium, and short terms. Intention in relation to the 3 timing. Immediate, and then medium, and then long term. Next, number 3, the power of remorse. Remembering the disadvantages of the disturbing emotions, we should protect ourselves from being overwhelmed by them, even at the the subtle kind of consciousness at that time, not to be sort of dominated by negative emotions with the understanding of this power of remorse or regret. Melam ko jir lo jore. Oh, just show seems. So we'll take a break here.